By living in a world of wars and unrest right now, we are witnessing one of the largest human displacements to have ever happened. People around the world are on the move to seek refuge, whether it is because of military action or a natural disaster. The idea of a home is under constant scrutiny as entire populations are uprooted from the very places where they built their whole lives. We take this line of thought as a starting point to discuss the cultural, political, and socio-economic factors that affect the way we live. We ask our guests about how the concept of home has evolved in the last century. How do policy and design intersect to alleviate or exacerbate housing crises in cities around the world? Why are governments failing to reduce homelessness? What is the temporary housing market and how is it driven by migrant workers? And how can architects play a role in creating emergency shelters? From economists to artists and tech startup founders to architects, we have a diverse range of guests to help us think through all these complex questions. With the support of the Graham Foundation for Advanced Studies in the Fine Arts, this is Season 6, centered around the themes of home, shelter, and housing. I am Vaishnavi Shukla and this is Architecture Off Center, a podcast where we highlight contemporary discourses that shape the built environment but do not occupy the center stage in our daily lives. We speak to radical designers, thinkers, and changemakers who are deeply engaged in redefining the way we live and interact with the world around us. We start the season by speaking to American artists Susanna Saylor and Edward Morris about their project Toolshed and how their work is always environmentally focused.
When you speak of an environment, you speak of an envelope, essentially. You're talking about regarding a certain area. And just as with ecology, we don't think about there being one single ecology. There's not one single environment, right? There are these different envelopes. Think about what your frame of reference is and how wide that is. So there's these concentric circles. I suppose ultimately you can end up with the environment of the Earth, the environment that's enclosed by the atmosphere of the Earth. But I think it's more useful to think more locally about environments, to draw that envelope more narrowly.
Next, we sync up with architects Maria Vittorio Tessi and Flavio Martella to discuss their research on changing patterns of living in Europe and how there has been a surge in the number of people choosing to live alone.
We are always in touch with someone, so we don't need a direct contact or a physical contact with a person. And then we have in our mind this concept that we can live in a different model, that we can live in a different models than the traditional family. Funny is that architecture just follow the same old principles from the 50s and the 60s. In some way, the houses didn't change so much.
And then we talked to sustainable design expert and Kenyan real estate developer Etta Madete about the urban rental housing market in Nairobi and how she aims to redefine it.
So the urban rental is very strong and extremely varied, but almost everyone rents, 80% rental within the city. So even if you're in a slum or low income or an informal settlement, you're still kind of paying rent to a sort of landlord. It's just because there's no supply of formal housing to house a particular income group. So it's extremely supply constrained, and the demand is constantly rising faster than supply. I don't think it'll ever catch up. It hasn't caught up in the West. I don't know whether it'll ever catch up here. So the supply and demand of affordable housing is always at a crosshead.
We have an exciting lineup of guests and topics this season, so please join us for the first episode next Thursday and a new one will follow every 2 weeks after that. Special thanks to Ayushi Thakur for the research and design support and Kahan Shah for the background score. You can follow us on Instagram at archoffcenter and reach out to us through our website archoffcenter.com. That is ARCHOFFCENTRE. And thanks for listening.